Welcome to Intentional Podcast. This is your show for connecting exceptional business leaders who bring actionable insights, game-changing strategies, and a blueprint for success. Today, we're honored to welcome on the show Doug Gourlay. Doug is a force of leadership and innovation, a former Airborne Army officer who served for 8 years. He is now the president and CEO of Qumulo, a groundbreaking technology company that's transforming the data storage landscape. Doug's career is packed with lessons of resilience, leadership, and purposeful growth. Everything you need to take on your own journey to the next level. Doug, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
It's great to see you. It's been a few years since I've seen you, so I'm glad that we're catching up again. Yeah, a lot
I'm,
of,
a,
lot
I'm,
of stuff that's changed for you and myself. So
I'm just
look,
amazed you remembered the interaction we had a while ago. That was kind
I,
of scary.
I can't forget you, man. You made a big impression on me. Like I think I told you, right before this. It's like there's not too many people that make that type of impression. It's like, man, this guy's a go-getter. Yeah,
Uh,
I need to hang on to his coattails. So
When you said that, I thought, what did I mess up that bad? But that was a good one.
let's start off with your military background. What drew you to serve, Doug?
Um, you know, a lot of reasons. My grandfather was in World War II. I got this picture. It's a funny one. I think it's me about age 4 with a Tommy gun and a helmet on. And it was Christmas present one year. And but then it was high school. My old man kicked me out of the house and sent me to military boarding school. And I'm like, what the hell have I got myself into? 6 months later, my old man's like, well, good job. You don't have to go back. I'm like, no, I want to go back. And the structure helped. Then when I was done with high school, it's like, well, how the hell am I going to pay for college?
Right.
ROTC seemed like a pretty good way to go. I was fortunate enough to earn a scholarship. Uh, Met some people through that process that we just had a 30th year reunion of our commissioning in 94.
Nice.
And uh, most all of them are still some of my best friends.
That's
And,
awesome.
granted, I couldn't make it to that. So I sent a giant inflatable unicorn with all sorts of a rainbow horn on it. And they made a mock video and then proceeded to do a ceremonial burial after shooting it.
Oh my God.
It was a heck of a good time. I cannot release the video. There was enough 06s in there that it might be a little scary, but it was a darn good time, and got to know a lot of great people through that. And then what I found was I liked the structure. I also liked the idea that it was here's a mission. Now, a mission statement being well defined also includes when and how you define mission success. And then obviously, if you go through your op order, the next paragraph includes the mission of the next higher unit as well. So I understood my job. I understood how to know when it was done correctly. And I understood how my job fit into the overall organization that I was supporting, both from continuity of command as well as understanding the why behind what I was doing. For me, that helped me value what I did and fueled my effort into almost any activity I took upon myself. Knowing why I was doing what I was doing and knowing what success criteria looked like made it not easy, but gave me the impetus to find creative solutions to the problems that were put in front of me and in front of others. And um, I won't say uniquely, it's not unique, but what I found benefited me the most was combining that structure with a lack of rigidity on finding creative and interesting solutions to problems that stayed within the guardrails of the law.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't like orange jumpsuits that well. But at the same time, it was not necessarily following doctrine as far as the best way to get a mission accomplished.
Right. Exactly. Thinking outside the box.
Yeah, and that served me very well in all facets of my career.
So you did learn quite a bit of leadership style in the military then, right?
And to me, it came down to two core things.
Okay.
One was your own, call it attitude, call it command presence, whatever term you want to throw at it. And that is everything from posture, tonality, looking someone in the eye, how you carry yourself. It's projecting the confidence into an organization, especially under duress, that a steady hand is on the wheel or the tiller if you're in the Navy or whatever, rudder, whatever analogy you want to use. But it's you understand the situation and you are capable of navigating and charting a course for the organization through it. So that inspires the confidence of the people under you. Um, that comes from competence, comes from integrity, it comes from repeatedly doing the right thing and the organization seeing that your decision making is sound and so on. It comes from a lot of areas and there's a lot behind it. The next part is related to that directly, but it is consistent and clear communications.
Yes.
And I'll come back time and time again. I mean, I find myself today sitting down and writing a 5 paragraph operations order when I'm trying to explain to an organization what I want accomplished. And it is, what is our situation now? What is my competition doing? What are the market factors, right? What's our mission? What are we trying to accomplish? Why are we doing it? What's it? Why is it important to us and to our shareholders and to our employees? Execution. What subunits are doing what? What is engineering doing? What is sales doing? What is marketing doing? What is product doing? What is finance doing? How are they all working together? Right? Service and support is less so critical in my world as much as it is like, what is your budget and what headcount do you have to get the mission accomplished? And then command and signal, how are we going to communicate and stay coordinated as an organization, especially if you're trying to affect a large set of changes across an organization towards a common goal? But I can't have product releasing something if finance doesn't have the back office system in place to recognize revenue for it or to bill for it.
Right.
I can't have sales ops changing a compensation plan for the sales organization to incentivize the sale of a product that isn't ready or doing it too late and not having the market impact or my organization aligned behind creating the market impact of something that is ready. Right. So
Right.
it's how all of these aspects moving forward together in concert, in unison. And yeah, go back to a 5 paragraph operations order.
There
It
you
was
go.
a very simple, repeatable construct for effective communication in any organization, whether business or military.
And that's amazing, setting that foundation to be able to succeed, right, with those steps. But I've seen some other organizations that never do that, right? And you could just see that the growth is not there. People don't like being there. So I think when you're communicating clearly with everyone, that's a great pattern for success.
And you hear, you look at all the fun memes out on, Instagram, TikTok, X, choose your platform.
Right.
And they're all like, corporate speak. And then the one term I know I steal from that and use all the time, though, is alignment.
Oh, there you
And
go.
if you're looking at an infantry movement to contact, if I've got one company in a battalion, 4 clicks ahead of the others, you're out of alignment.
Right.
I can't support each other. You don't have interlocking fields of fire. You may be out of the range of the artillery support, not at 4 clicks at a battalion level, but you get the point. And the whole thing being, how do you get everybody moving together? And, this being a Seattle company I've joined, first day I used that boys in the boat analogy. And it was like, all right, everybody, we got a pretty darn good looking boat here. Now, that boat is the product we built, it's a company we've got. It's customers like it. Got 1,000 of them. So we've got a lot of customers who like the boat we have. I said, no, bluntly, get your ass in the boat and paddle hard. And let's just start off with everybody finding a seat and everybody paddling as hard as we can. And please try to go north.
There you go.
If you're somewhere between northeast and northwest day one, you're still kind of directionally accurate and we're okay. Now, over time, yeah, we'll hone that. We'll get east, northeast, west, northwest. And then we're all going to try to go true north eventually. We can even worry about magnetic versus regular.
Right.
We can worry about rowing together. And then we can figure out who isn't rowing that hard. And we can sometimes figure out who wants to sit in the life raft and be towed.
There you
And
go.
I don't have a lot of room for people to sit in a life raft and be towed. And we don't have a lot of room for people who want to go their own direction. There's a little bit of room for that always.
Right.
You know, it's a challenge, but it comes down to alignment, and the best way to create that is consistency of mission, clarity of mission to everybody in the company, what we're doing, why we're doing it, and then effective communication of that to the broader organization.
Yeah, I love that analogy with the boat, that unity and alignment, right? If you're not going down, you're not paddling down the right path, you're gonna veer off and either fall off or tip the boat over. Uh, Go back to the military
I don't
field.
want to think about that, but yeah, don't talk about it. Getting back in is really hard in one of those little canoes, man.
Oh my gosh. Hey, what was the most valuable lesson you learned when you were in the Army?
The leadership is doing the job that nobody else, the easiest way to demonstrate leadership is doing pardon my language, the shittiest job that nobody wants to do first.
Correct.
And somebody came up to me the other day and said, "Why are you wiping the counter?" And I said, "Because it's a
It
mess."
needs to. It needs to be clean.
Yeah. Why am I putting dishes in the dishwasher in the break room? Because
Right.
we're dirty.
Right, exactly.
And if a customer came in right after me, I want the customer to see a clean break room. I want the customer to know that if I'm making them a cup of coffee, or I kind of like an iced oat milk latte because I'm living in Seattle and I'm kind of fluffy now, but that the cup's clean, and
Yeah.
that it's they're not gonna be like, "Oh geez, am I gonna get something from this?" So leadership is not sitting in your office by yourself and dreaming up grand strategy plans. It's not necessarily writing the best frothy email to get everybody fired up, although that doesn't hurt. It's not always standing up and giving the most motivating General Patton-esque speech in the world. Um, Here, it was reaching out to the entire sales organization and telling them that I will go into any customer meeting ever with you and help however I can. And that if that's a first call or that's a closing meeting, if the customer has a problem or the customer wants a feature, I'll do it. Uh,
Nice.
it was looking at our customer sat scores, which were outstanding, and then asking my customer success team that if there's any person who rated us on a scale of 1 to 10, a 6 or 7 or less, I want to meet with them. Not to yell,
Right.
not to,
Find out what the problem is.
yeah, not to whine. No, well,
Right, exactly.
you give us a better score next time. No, I don't want to ask you for a better score next time. I want to ask you what it takes to get a better score next time, and then I want to earn it.
Yeah, I love that. It's a servant leadership, right? Doing whatever it takes to make it happen. And many leaders that I've interviewed, it's amazing. The ones that are the top leaders always have that mindset, and the ones that the ones that are not there don't have that mindset. So it's an awesome lesson for people to learn, I think.
And I'll say one thing, Dave. I think there's a reason the Army generally has 24-month command rotations. 'Cause this is the hardest damn job I think I've had in a long time. It's a lot of fun. I have not had this much fun in a long time either, but the 24/7, 365, always on, like you and I were talking before we jumped on here, trying to be instantly responsive to every text, every Slack, every phone call, every email, the multi-channel comms you have to face nowadays is even more challenging. But the you are always on and
Yes.
you're always under a microscope. And I don't know, if I dress sloppy one day, someone's going to ask why. If I'm tired one day, somebody's going to read into it. And it's arguably one of the most, if not certainly, career-wise, I'd say I'm in, a pinnacle role and one of the most rewarding roles I've ever been in. At the same time, one of the most challenging,
Yeah.
and it's awesome at the same time.
Yeah, it's we thrive in adversity, right? I think, and which is pretty cool. And for all the sales reps that work with you, I've been on a sales call with you, and you're definitely definitely a leader and making sure that you educate the customer, they understand what's going on, and make them feel comfortable. So all the sales guys, make sure you're taking advantage of Doug to make sure that you go out there and visit with them. So
Do
uh,
that without making people feel stupid either, right? There's no decision
exactly,
made before it's bad. Well, I don't care if you use our competitor's product before. I want to understand why, what you like about it, and maybe there's things we need to do different or better. Also, maybe you made the absolute best decision you could the time you made it, and it was a good decision. But if you were aware of what we built or other company they work for, but you could, well, knowing that now, maybe I would have made a different decision then, or maybe the next decision you make would be different because you'd be more informed about what the latest in the state of the art in technology and networking or storage or system sector is.
that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, and you have a little bit more data to be able to relay that customer because you're talking to many customers every day, right? So you could give them some best practices, what I've seen, what works best here, what this customer had before. Why are you going to have an advantage coming to us? What was the
Stories,
yep,
stories, and
yeah,
learning them and sharing them and relaying them, and that's how people learn. That's how people learn for millennia.
correct. Yeah, but a lot of people that don't know that they'll just come in there just trying to talk about their product, how big, how good it is, how great it is, right? And they're not having that conversation to find out what struggles they're having, what challenges, are you aware of this, this, and this? This way they could make the educated decision, which is awesome.
Yeah. I'll come to your question. I'll tell you kind of a funny story. Somebody asked me once, I had to, I don't know, judge a competition or something like that. And it was first call sales deck.
Okay.
Show us your best first call sales deck. And here's, reps and SEs. And the worst one I'd ever see is like the sales rep who says, hi, I'm John. I'm the sales rep from company X. And here's my SE who's now going to go through the product presentation and give you the overview. I'm like, so what do you actually do?
Right,
You know?
exactly. Yeah.
And then go through all of these. There were there's some good ones. There were some great ones. They're a little bit all over the map. And somebody said, well, what's your first call sales deck look like, Doug? And I put up a slide, and the slide said, I don't use slides.
Nice.
It said, my first call is not telling you about my product. My first call is learning who you are. And it's understanding the most important thing to me, which is what your priorities are. And if I understand your priorities, sometimes those are pain points. Sometimes, but a priority, the difference between a priority and a pain point is if it's a pain point that matters enough, you turn it into a priority because you give it budget and headcount. And I'm happy to fix pain points for a customer, but it's a lot easier to fix pain points that they back up with budget and headcount because that means it really matters.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
if you are in a sales role, you do want to go after things that people are actually budgeting to solve. And when you understand someone's priorities deeply, and then from an empathetic level, you kind of get in their shoes. You understand why it makes their job hard, or why it sucks the way it is, or why it can just be so much better in a different modality.
Right.
Then you're having a real conversation with them the next meeting,
There you
where
go.
you choose to use slides, but not a stock deck. You're not
Right.
pulling up, here's the 40-page deck market. Let me present it to you. It's like, no, here's the 5 things we do that uniquely address the priorities you told me matter the most to you. And now guess what? I'm not wasting your damn time.
Right, exactly. You're not talking about things that they're not even thinking about, right?
Oh, so yeah.
That's
Listen, man, be empathetic, care.
yeah, 100%. Let me go back to the Army before we jump into Qumulo. What was the biggest challenge you faced while you served?
Paperwork.
Okay.
I hate paperwork.
Okay. Same
I'm
here.
a I'm a horrible staff officer.
Okay.
I just hate things like that. They're just not fun for me in any capacity. Um, you know, field things, mission-oriented activities, even like interesting training exercises are outstanding.
Right.
Um, the amount of paperwork it takes to do the job is overwhelming.
Yep. Big
Think
manual, right?
detracts from mission effectiveness.
Right, exactly.
Now, at the same time, I'll flip it around, and you and I talked about a buddy of mine who was a Navy pilot, and I use his mission experience as an example internally about how to deal with major customer presentations. Because you might get for a big deal, big opportunity, something transformative, you might get an hour or two from your client.
Right.
You go in, your big RFP response, you got your proposal ready, fired up, and let's call it you had 2 hours of actions on the objective. Great job. How much prep time do you put in? How much time do you put planning? How much time do you put building that content? How much time do you put in rehearsing between the account manager, the systems engineer, maybe somebody doing a demo, maybe the executive you got on the call with you, maybe somebody from the CS team doing a quarterly ops review? Do you rehearse or do you just show up and wing it? And then when you're done with that mission, you're done with that action, you're done with that presentation, how much time do you spend in an AAR? And so a common thing we would do at my last job and starting to do them here as well. So you get done with that big presentation, you get everybody in the room and you sit down and you go, all right, let's talk about how it went.
Exactly.
And I usually pick the most junior person. I say, you start. How do you think the meeting went? Knowing what you know about how it went, what would you have done differently? What lessons did you learn? And what would you do different next time? Now, I have my list of like everything I think we screwed up.
Right, right.
And I'm looking to see if they tick them off. And if they tick them off and they take responsibility and ownership for the things that they could improve, I don't need to remind them.
Right.
Great job being self-aware. You got it.
Exactly.
But I've also got to one where I won't name the person or the environment, but at the end, I had an account manager going, "Oh, we nailed it. That was awesome. We
My
killed it."
goodness.
And
Right.
I'm like, your pricing was wrong. You didn't rehearse. Your proposal had errors. You literally had spelling errors. You quoted the wrong product. You didn't list anything I had asked you to put in there. I had to rewrite your RFP the night before because your cover letter was wrong. What part did you think went well?
Right. Exactly. Yep.
There was no sense of ownership, responsibility. There's no accountability for that person whose job should have been to be like the quarterback on the team. They should have been the mission leader, the maneuver commander in that scenario, and they were not taking responsibility for they were trying to take responsibility for the outcome without taking responsibility for any of the actions that led to the outcome.
Right.
And that person did not survive long in their employment.
Okay. That's
Right.
powerful. I never put the analogy together. Like, before you go out there, for a mission, we have exercises, right? Plenty of exercises. So it's goes back to the sales thing, and then the after action report. That's a great learning lesson, right? For people to understand. It's
Where you
like, hey,
learn.
and it's painful for people, but that's part of life, right? Pain makes us grow. So if you're able to learn that, you know what? Guess what? Next time you're gonna make sure that doesn't happen, which is awesome. I love that.
And if you're not self-aware enough to kind of call your own error,
Yep.
then you need to be coachable enough to say, let somebody else tell you.
Right.
If you're neither, you probably need to rethink the role you're in. And, we have two common hiring criteria in sales roles here. It's one I used previously. It was one I really like Division One, Division Two college athletes
Okay.
or fraternity or sorority social chair or presidents. Why? You cannot succeed as a Division One athlete in almost any sport, any college, unless you're a self-starter. You can't succeed. Uh, well, you're a team player. You're coachable. You take feedback, and you gotta work hard. I mean, that's it, right? And you look at that, those are skills that are directly transferable to almost any organization you're in, and especially a job in sales where if your manager has to sit there on top of you, look at it, saying, "What are you doing today? Are you doing these things?" You're not going to succeed.
Exactly. Yep.
The exact same hiring criteria. Was telling you about that one gentleman I worked with who did a great job. His career background was a naval pilot, and then supported the SEAL teams with some of their UAV, US programs. And, when you look at somebody who came from that type of background, technically oriented, self-starter, leadership, coachable, it all very, very similar, right? Work ethic. And you don't have to sit on top of them and tell them what to do. You got to show them once or twice what good and great look like, and then know that they will do the actions and the activities necessary to create that on their own. And they need a little coaching and guidance now and then. Everyone does. But the ability to take that feedback and not be hard-headed about it makes them incredible assets to an organization.
Yeah, I think if you have people that have that mindset, that strong mindset to succeed, right? If you're able to guide them down the right path, guess what? They succeeded before. It's going to happen again. A lot of people get tied up. It's like, you don't know much about this industry or whatever. It's like, you know what? They'll learn it. It's not rocket science, right? They're going to learn it. We'll coach them. We'll show them how to do it. It's going to happen, right? But the thing that you're missing is that these guys have performed, executed, accomplished missions in the past, and they're going to keep doing that going forward, which is awesome.
You hear the word thrown around a lot, grit, right?
Yes,
What makes a startup successful? Grit. What makes a CEO successful? Grit. What makes us a great sales rep? Grit. What's it
right,
going to mean? Get your effing teeth kicked in, you keep going,
right.
right?
That's true.
And it doesn't mean you don't take no for an answer. Sometimes you do have to. But sometimes you realize that first no might not be the penultimate one. And we have a sales guy here who exhibited tremendous grit. He lost 5 years ago to a competitor, and he
Okay,
had to take no for an answer. And he persisted for 5 years.
nice.
He got the yes on the next opportunity for the refresh.
That's awesome. There you go. Never
That,
quit, right? Never quit. Let's talk about your tech transformation. What inspired you, or how did you wind up getting into the tech world?
oh, geez, so many reasons. When I was a kid, I ran a bulletin board system with a bunch of pirated software on it in the 80s. Trouble for that. Uh, I got in trouble once for rappelling off the Fort Benning Vassar officers' quarters and swinging 10 base 2 cable from room to room so a bunch of JOs could play Doom and Quake.
Nice. I knew I liked you for a reason, Doug.
I was the guy with Harvard graphics making the little NATO icon so I could have better, we called it the one gun back then, but the projector
Okay.
could do a better job. Mine would look prettier than everybody else's. Um, when I got done dealing with the army and the government, um, futzed around a little bit, and then got a really fortunate opportunity to go to work at Cisco Systems in late 90s as a systems engineer, an individual contributor, supporting uh, banks and then some tech companies in the Bay Area. And from a work ethic perspective, I had these two sales reps I worked with that probably on average made me do 15 to 20 sales calls a week.
Oh, wow.
And I had to know a product portfolio as a catalog this thick, had to know how most of them worked. And I can tell you, I remember one of them actually ended up being my roommate. You would talk about incestuous relationship. I'd be there like watching a movie or something. I remember I literally one day I was watching the movie Swingers,
Okay.
funny movie, and I get this Sean yelling from the other room, Doug, for that company Indus, what's the part number on that ATM thingy? I'm like WAI-OC3-4MM. It's $3,995, Sean, and don't forget the optics. And
Nice.
he's like, yeah, had to know it. And I guess I was a kid with Legos,
Okay.
playing with Legos. And I realized that building networks and building computers and building systems was just another variation of Lego bricks. And I got into the product side of it because I wanted to make my own bricks that would build me the Star Destroyer I wanted, or the X-Wing fighter, or whatever the heck it is. And uh, probably shouldn't admit this, but I think I have every single Star Wars Ultimate Collector Edition Lego set
Oh
still
my gosh, that's incredible. That's
by
awesome.
the time they come out. Most of them are still in plastic. I haven't had time to build the darn things, but
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
yeah, good stuff.
That's
And
awesome how you started that.
yeah, the analogy holds. I mean, it's like you want to build something.
Yeah, it's amazing. You start with the simple things. I remember I was working at a computer store. That when I first started, got out of the Marine Corps, started working at a computer store. Obviously, nothing was online back then, right? So all companies would come in and buy at the store. A buddy of mine, his name's Jeff. It's when Lantastic first came out, right?
Oh yeah,
We set up we
Artist Off Fantastic 2.1.
we set up Lantastic on a couple of PCs and started playing Doom. It's like this is the greatest thing. I can't believe this, right? It's like we could play together. It's like this is amazing, right? But now it's all everybody does it, not a problem streaming
I
and
was
everything, which is
I was
pretty cool.
using NetWare 3.1 and 3.1.2. I also worked at a small computer store in college,
Okay,
and everyone I worked with there has gone on to something great, something that there is that right timing thing, right? You have to kind of look at what was the
yes,
technology trend in the mid 90s. It was the internet hitting,
correct,
and there was no school teaching computer networking.
right, yeah,
You had to read it and learn it. And just like right now, there might be classes on AI, but they're kind of BS.
yeah, they are.
You're gonna sit down and look at PyTorch and how transformers, software is working. That's a different story. And truly understand computer science, and teachers, get involved early into what the trend is. It's nascent. And before it's taught in school, before it's a shake and bake class online. And you can find yourself being maybe not the world's foremost leading expert, but you can catch that wave and surf it. And then the better you get, you'll find yourself surrounded by even better people, right? And
Exactly. Yep.
you find that in any industry, right? And you get a good group of people together, and everyone around them rises. You narrow that a little bit more, and you get an even tighter group of people together. And I was fortunate enough to find myself surrounded by the people who invented fast and gigabit Ethernet, the man who was the first investor in Google and invented the Sun workstation and the Sun Spark processor. And I mean, just these incredible people and talents that had experience. And I joke, I was a piece of like space dust orbiting a celestial object. But I tried to soak it all up and learn from everyone. I mean, learning business acumen from business leaders that are self-made billionaires by running companies and building them and growing them, and not from just reading a book or sitting in a classroom. And surround yourself with great people. And they always say, if you're the smartest people in the room, if you're the smartest person in the room, find a new room.
Right,
uh,
exactly. Yep.
and if you're in a leadership position, be really honest about what your weak areas are, right? I am weak in the finance side.
Okay.
I'm weak in the back office to mid office business operations side. Um, I do not have, I talked about paperwork. I do not have the attention to detail to day administer a sales organization and look at forecasts and forecast accuracy and pipeline building. These are not my strong suits. So I brought on board a gentleman named John Donnelly, who's had 3 IPOs under his belt as a chief revenue officer and has that attention to detail and sales organization administration so that I don't have to. I brought on board a lady named Michelle Palesci, who has a tremendous background in running worldwide sales finance at Apple and uh, finance for corporate development M&A at Cisco, and a
Nice.
controller for multi-billion-dollar product lines there, from mid-office to back office, organizational efficiency, understanding our processes and how they can improve far better than I will ever be.
Right.
And then I have as a right hand a CFO who is phenomenal named Matt. Matt Fry. And Matt has been at the company almost longer than anybody, 8, 9 years, knows where every body's buried. Um, and he understands the why behind all the decisions that have been made. And when I'm sitting here wanting to go in and shake the tree and disrupt stuff, sometimes he pulls me back and say, Doug, I understand why. I understand what you're trying to do. But if you change too many things too quickly, the
Mhm.
organization might not survive the change.
Right, exactly.
So he provides sage counsel and wisdom and experience there with this company that I don't have.
Right.
He makes me better. So surrounding yourself with great people.
Yeah,
Uh,
that makes a huge difference, right? Because yeah, I think being in the military, we want to keep moving forward fast, right? But you're trying to put a motor on that bullet, which might tip it over, right? So if you're able to have some guidance and not to do that, that's incredible. And
the best division commander is not necessarily the best comms guy. That's why they've got a pretty good G6 sitting there with them.
right, and
When
everybody has strengths,
no,
right? Everybody has their strengths, but you need to marry those strengths together to form something that's going to help you succeed. Let's dive into Qumulo. What was your I had the pleasure of meeting you at your last company. What was your journey with Qumulo, and tell us a little bit what Qumulo does, please.
sure. I joined the firm July 1st.
Okay,
Got introduced to the company on July 9th, and I left my last firm on June 30th. So I had a very long transition plan between the two, about 45 minutes.
nice.
And I joined Qumulo, which we build an enterprise-wide primary storage data management platform that helps customers store and curate petabytes to exabytes of data.
Okay,
And it works on premises in data centers. It works in hospitals and branch offices and clinics. It works in the public cloud, Amazon, Azure, Google, Oracle, take your pick. What I like about it is it's critical to our customers' business operations. Now, I always ask customers like what we can do better, and I like to understand how they use our product. And I had a therapeutics company say, we store the cure for cancer on Qumulo. We're now in the process of using data modeling and machine learning and AI to find it. I had I'd probably say about 7 of the 8 world's largest autonomous driving clusters that run on us today that improve driver safety. We are not responsible for the one that made the guy go around in circles 8 times. That was not us. Uh, we have another set of customers. I can tell you that probably 10 out of 10 largest movie producing shops in the world use us in some form or fashion, some of them with 100 plus petabytes of storage. And, so movies you would take your kids to see were oftentimes built, composited, rendered, scored, colored, you name it, on us. And in that, the mission's simple. Make sure the movies are there for your grandkids to see in the same format, not lost, right? So tremendous responsibility for data durability and reliability, access to that for the right people and not for the wrong people, and making something that's simple and easy to use for everyone. That's kind of what we do, and extending that to be both on premises and in the public cloud gives our customers a tremendous freedom of choice. And what we try to do is try to say it this way: our job is to eliminate as many technology barriers for our customers to make a decision as to whether they should use on-premises technologies or public cloud technologies, and give them the freedom to make the right business and operational decision for their environment, and normalize those economics as much as possible so that you can take the economic argument out, you can take the does it support this feature out. It gives a tremendous amount of capability to our customers. And that gives them more choices. That lets them make hopefully better business and operational decisions about, the massive amounts of file, object, unstructured data that are necessary in today's businesses. I mean, I'm talking of a bank with a mortgage company, 200 billion PDF files
Holy cow!
in one cluster. I have a
Wow.
bank talking about that number of checks and they want to run those checks through fraud and risk analysis to identify fraud, to identify fake signatures, to identify, you know, really somebody trying to do bad things and putting your finance, your credit history at risk. All of this is data dependent. And what I like about this industry that is different than my time in the networking sector is the just intimate proximity you get to the client.
Yes.
Like I know what tools they use, I know what the data is they're storing, I know who accesses it, how they access it, and where they access it from. I was talking to our government about a special access program environment with like 4 or 5 exabytes and hundreds of different programs that all need to store their data onto this giant shared storage foundation. Yet each program is cryptologically separate, network separate, data separate. And if a storage admin's name is Snowden, he can't see anything that's inside that data, inside that shared environment, can only see what they're authorized access to. Even the storage admin can only have access to the things that they're authorized to, which is not necessarily the data that's inside the compartmented program.
Wow, that's amazing. Holy cow. So
Well,
what were they doing before you guys came into play?
700 different IT organizations, each one with a unique infrastructure, each one understaffed and undermanned because the program budgets rarely included enough budget for competent IT personnel. So
Wow.
you
Holy
end up
cow.
with a tremendous amount of bloat, waste, inefficient utilization, no economies of scale, no negotiating power or authority for commercial terms, and you end up with just a complete mixed bag. And then imagine what it takes for one program to share data with another with completely disparate systems when the operational environment requires sometimes collaboration between disparate programs, especially when you're dealing with, complex counterterrorism, multinational engagements, blue-green data sharing for operational execution, and so on.
Wow. So it sounds like pretty much anybody with a lot of data or just data in general, Qumulo would be a huge benefit, right? And data is the new gold, is what they've been saying for the last couple of years, right? So if you're able
Well,
to
look,
manage that and distribute it better, that's a home run,
look at this thing.
right?
Right? I get stereoscopic 4K video done in 3D spatial. I can play back on a badass headset, and we're talking, gigabytes per second of data created. Each one of those autonomous driving cars is 10 to 15 terabytes per day of data for each
Holy
car in
cow.
the fleet.
Wow.
And we're talking hundreds and sometimes 1,000 plus fleet vehicles.
Wow. That's amazing. How do people reach out to you regarding Qumulo? Just LinkedIn?
Of LinkedIn, shoot me an email. I think Gourlay at Qumulo.com.
Okay.
We got a website. It's always getting refreshed. Always time to refresh it. But
Qumulo.com?
it's Qumulo. Very difficult to spell if you miss that Q.
Yes.
But yeah, it's great. I mean, always happy to talk about large scale data problems that people have. And one thing we tried to build the Swiss Army knife platform. It does file, it does object, it scales up, it scales down, it's cloud, it's on-prem. So what we try to always convey to our customer-facing organization is be really honest about what we do well. And if a customer brings to you a problem that is not in our wheelhouse, be the first one to say, walk away,
Yeah,
and
that's not
here's
our.
something that might work better for that. But we've got the 80-90% solution there for the bulk of the requirements that our customers have, which is why we see, multi-exabyte environments, and we have, 1,000 plus customers with, across a myriad of markets from energy to advanced manufacturing, semiconductor, media and entertainment, healthcare, life sciences, intelligence, community defense, public sector, take your pick.
Nice. Yeah, I was going to ask you next, what industry? It seems like every industry could definitely benefit from you guys, but obviously you guys will meet with them, find out what their pain point is. If it works, it works. If not, walk away, like you said, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Don't force fit something because you don't end up with happy customers if you're forcing product on them or solutions that don't fit their operational requirements.
Awesome. Thank you. A couple other quick questions before we start wrapping up. I wanted to find out about how does personal philosophy influence your leadership with faith, and what advice would you give others navigating transitions in life or career?
That's a damn long question, Dave.
Yeah, it is. You could
Yeah.
just answer one part. That's fine.
You know, I'll tell people this. Don't be afraid of it, of taking a risk. Don't be afraid of a career transition. But if you go get an MBA or you get your undergrad or you do one of these leveling up, transition, change things you do, the degree is less important than the first job you take after it because no one's going to look back and say, oh, you got your MBA 6 years ago and then you worked as some regular job that didn't capitalize on that investment you made. So I'd say wait, find the right job that helps justify that investment you made, and it sets the tonality and the cadence and the op tempo for everything you're going to have afterward. Now, sometimes that job opportunity isn't sitting there for you. It's not there day one. Sometimes you got to take a risk. I tell a lot of people, don't be afraid of volunteer and nonprofit work and doing some things that show phenomenally well on your resume, even if it doesn't necessarily create that income stream you were looking for day one. So you go to a coding class and you get your boot camp done and you're all ready to be a software developer and the job isn't there for you, contribute to the open source community.
There you
Find the
go.
hottest, coolest project on GitHub. And I don't care if you edit a README file, start joining in and helping create your resume. You get done with an MBA, the job you want isn't there for you day one. Go volunteer doing financial analysis for the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America working for Allison Jaslow, or go work for Veterans Village of San Diego with Elise Fernbach. Go volunteer with an organization and help. It will look great on your resume and it will be a catalyst for that next step for you. But don't just sit on your ass and don't take that gap year, even though you want to go skiing. Go skiing, but
Right.
go do things you need to do to take advantage of that investment you made. So you get done with your time in the military, you got your GI Bill sitting there, you go and you get it done, and you're real proud of the degree you got. The first job you take is going to break or make that investment worth your while. So
And you're getting
wait.
around the right people like you did, right? I mean, all the people you got around, you were surrounded with in your career, it's like was the best business coaching around, period, right? And that's another thing some people could actually, work with some business coaches as well. Did you work with a business coach at all, ever?
I did not.
I didn't think so. Yeah.
I
Well,
got
you had
I
business
got
coaches
damn
daily,
lucky,
right?
man.
Yeah, you had business coaches daily, so you didn't need to, which is awesome.
Yeah, well, in one coaching advice I give somebody who wants to go into the business world. If you want to go into business and you want to get paid, most people go into business want to get paid. Now, we're not saying we all do it for the dollar, but the dollar don't matter. The dollar matters. It does matter. It's nice.
Right.
You trade your time for income, and that income gives you freedom, flexibility, and other choices, allows you to invest in your family, friends, nonprofits, whatever it is that matters to you. You trade your time for something, and time's the only resource you have you're not going to get any more of. So you got to be careful how you invest it. Well, look at the company's financial reporting if they're public. Look at companies that have a good or great gross margin and look at companies that have a good net margin. And the reason I say this is if the company has a high gross margin, that means their customers value that product offer. Gross margin is directly proportional to the customer perceived value of the product or service you deliver. If you're in sales, you want to sell something valuable. If you're selling something valuable, it gets good GM. It's pretty easy to measure. Net margin is the profit generated by that company. It's how efficiently they're operating. Do they actually make money or are they losing it? Well, if you've got the time and energy and you've got the flexibility to swing for the fences, you can go to a startup that's losing money. Now they might knock it out of the park because they're in the great spot, their growth rate's good, and they grow into it. That happens a lot. A lot of startups lose money, but then they end up making a lot if they are successful. But we all know the failure rate's over 90%.
Right.
Looking at a public company, look at one that delivers consistent, good, and preferably growing net margin. Doesn't need to be huge, but they need to be operating profitably. And if they are, that is a signal to you that the company will last and that the company doesn't need to do, some near-term reduction in force or something like that that's going to put you potentially as being the new person on the chopping block, especially as we enter into any time period where you expect economic uncertainty or you see a frothy secular market that's growing and you're going, when's it going to correct? When's it going to come back? If you're at the profitable, growing, high margin company, it is an element of security for addressing the things that are usually outside of your control as an individual contributor taking an early job into the new company.
Boom, there you go. We just got some business coaching right now. Thank you, Doug. That was awesome. Uh,
No,
two last questions. What would you like people listening to today to remember about you or your work? Because I know you have a lot of different patents as well. So whatever case that is.
I don't remember anything about me. I don't remember anything about my work. Remember
Okay.
that uh, if you love doing something, I don't care if it is driving a car or shooting hoops or playing with computers or playing video games. There is a career that you can build doing the thing you love. That career will sustain you if you love doing it, right? Michael Jordan probably loved shooting hoops when he was 12 and 13 years old and did an awful lot of it and became great at it because of the effort he put in.
Correct.
Natural ability, but incredible effort. You talk about Kobe Bryant, you hear the guy was a 10 out of 10 on effort, or sorry, the guy was a 10 out of 10 on skill, and he was like an 11 or 12 out of 10 on effort. But it's because he was doing something he loved. So don't chase a dollar. Find something you love doing that's enjoyable to you. You will be able to make a highly successful and profitable career out of it. And if you do that, you're never going to look back and say, I wasted my time because you're doing
100%.
something you love.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anything that I left out that you'd like to cover before we wrap up?
I think we're pretty good, man. I thoroughly enjoyed the chat with you as always,
It
Dan.
was awesome to see you again. It was definitely great, and we'll have to make sure we stay more in contact. Uh,
You text me anytime.
you got
Still
it, man.
here.
I got your number. Doug, it's been an absolute privilege to have you on the podcast. Your story from military service to spearheading innovation at Qumulo serves as a powerful reminder of the impact and purpose driven leadership. To our listeners, if Doug's journey inspired you, make sure you connect with him on LinkedIn and explore the transformative work that Qumulo is doing. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Your support fuels our mission to bring you insights from the brightest minds in business. Until next time, stay inspired, stay driven, and keep making an impact. Thank you, Doug.